What's going on, everyone? It's Sean with the Social Media Pros, a pressure washing digital marketing agency. And today I want to tell you the 6 things you can start doing to generate more pressure washing leads. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button as I make videos daily here on YouTube, all in an effort to help you grow your pressure washing business. Now, some of the tips that we're going to get into today, some of them are free, some of them are paid, some of them you might need help with, but nonetheless, we're going to dive into all of them. And if you can implement any or all of these, obviously you're going to have way better success at generating pressure washing leads. Now, the first tip that I have for you guys is Bandit Signs. And I want to briefly talk about this because there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. Now, the company that I prefer to recommend people to go and order their Bandit Signs from is UZ Marketing. UZ Marketing, for like $250 or something like that, you can get about, I think it's 100 Bandit Signs. And so when we talk about Bandit Signs, we're talking about one color, two-sided, and just like black text on the other side. So this could be something like a yellow sign, and then on the text, it could just say pressure washing or house washing and then phone number. This is not a branding sign. You don't need to include your logo. You don't need to include a little bullet point of all your services that you offer, an email address, a website. Here's what Bandit Signs are for, and here's what they're not for. So Bandit Signs are for catching someone's eye while they're at a stoplight or a stop sign, and very quickly they can look at the sign and know, oh, that's pressure washing, and if I want pressure washing, here's a phone number to call, right? Don't get too caught up in throwing too much on there, because the more stuff that you add to the sign, the less likely someone's going to read that at a stoplight or a stop sign, and then you never get the calls. So go there, order signs, and then my advice as far as where to put them out and when to put them out, you want to put out almost all of them, if you can, in a very short span of time, such as like a couple of days. And you want to do this on like a Thursday or a Friday evening. And the reason you want to do this is because usually by like Monday or Tuesday, those signs, if you put them in more public places, they're going to get pulled by, the people that work in those areas, or city workers will drive by and pull them. Your competitors will probably pull them at some point. But Bandit Signs, typically from what we've seen, they have anywhere from a 3 to 4% conversion rate, meaning that if you put out 100 signs, usually you're going to get anywhere from 3 to 4, jobs because of that, right? Now, obviously, if your average ticket is $350 and you end up booking, $3, $6, $9, $1,200 worth of work, then for a $200 investment, it becomes well worth it, right? Not to mention all the other stuff, the Google reviews that you get from that. And the second tip that I have for you guys is, I preach it all the time. Everybody's probably sick of hearing it, but I'm going to continue to preach it, is get more Google reviews. By the way, guys, if you have any comments about any of the stuff that I'm going to talk about in this video, please feel free to drop a comment. I respond to every single comment, and I'll be sure to get to your questions. But the second tip I have is Google reviews, and the reason that it is so urgent, and this is hands down the number one tip, is because the more Google reviews that you get, the higher you will rank up in the map pack. And then when people go searching for your services, you show up number one in the map pack. Who are they going to call? And so that's really that simple. I made a video, and I'll link it in the description, about ways to optimize your Google business profile and tips for that. But if you're struggling to get Google reviews, basically one of the things I always talk about is get a CRM that automates that process. That way, every time you invoice the homeowner and they pay it, they get a text message and text message reminders with a link to leave you that Google review. Now, the third tip that I have for you that almost no one does the best is social media posting. And when I talk about social media, I'm talking about primarily Instagram and Facebook. Now, you could use things like Snapchat and TikTok. The reason that I prefer, when I talk about it, using Instagram and Facebook, is because it's more localized. TikTok can be very localized if you make a lot of them and people start honing in on your stuff. But if you're not already great at content production, I would just stay away from it and really just focus on Instagram and Facebook. And here's where people get this wrong, is when it comes to social media posting, you don't just want to post your before and afters of concrete cleaning, before and afters of house washing, before and afters of roof washing. You have to understand why people get on social media. They get on social media to consume content and learn things and see things that they maybe have never seen or learned before, right? And so when you just consistently post these before and after pictures, people are going to, after a while, they're just going to start scrolling past those. Now, it's okay to layer in that content through the weeks, but the bulk of your content should not be that. And I think it's all about documenting and not trying to create content, right? And so the best way to do this is really just try and document your day, right? So if you've got a busy day and you're going to go out and give some estimates, you've got some work, take pictures of being in the truck doing estimates. Take pictures of going to the SH supply house and getting chemicals. Take pictures and videos and of you working on your equipment or reeling up hoses. Like, people want to see the behind the scenes, the behind the veil content. And when you can provide them that, you're going to get way more feedback. Now, here's the other thing. A lot of people do this, right? You want to post that kind of content on your business page, but always make sure you share it to your personal page, because obviously your friends and people like that are going to consistently see this. Now, the reason that social media is so important is not because if you post a few pictures, people are going to see you and then be like, oh, I'm going to call them and get pressure washing. What you're doing when you're active on social media and posting a lot and engaging a lot, what's going to happen is that person that follows your page or sees your post, they might see your post for days, weeks, months, right? And then one day comes along and they think, man, I need somebody to come pressure wash my driveway. Well, who's the person that comes to their mind? It's the person whose content they've been seeing and consuming on Facebook, right? And that's why it's important to put out engaging content that's just not before and after photos, because you want to keep those people engaged. Another tip before we move on, also try and leverage Instagram stories and Facebook stories. If you're not aware, basically this is where you can take small snippets of video and you throw it up in the story, and those tend to do really well for engagement. If you have 1,000 people that follow your page, when you post a picture, it may only be seen by 50 or 60 people, but stories usually get seen by quite a bit more. And the thing is, guys, and the reason you should be utilizing all of these features is because social media is a free platform. And I hear a lot of people saying, I don't have time. Well, you just have to make it a priority. Obviously, if you get to a certain point in your business, you can hire a company like mine, and we do social media management. But most of the people that are going to be watching this video, you're not at that point, and so you need to prioritize. Having either your helper, your assistant, somebody who's with you, even yourself if you're just a one-man operation. Start shooting. Pull out your camera more. Hit record. Take photos. Start putting more of that content out there. The fourth tip that I have for you kind of ties into the last tip, and it's really just leveraging local Facebook groups. And so if you're not aware, in almost every market that is out there, there are lots of little suburb groups. Like in my area alone, and my neighborhood has like 3 separate groups. What you want to do, and especially for those of you that are really trying to get into those certain areas where those really nice homes are, you want to try to get into those groups. The key here, very carefully listen, the key here is once you get into these groups, don't just start spamming your promotions. You can introduce yourself and say, hey, my name is so-and-so, I own this company, I'm new here, I just wanted to say hi. But don't spam promotions. Don't spam your before and after pictures and all that, promotional content. What you're there for is, for one, when somebody asks about, hey, does anybody know of somebody who performs this service, you're obviously going to see that because you frequent those groups and you can recommend your own company. But obviously you're going to be able to provide some insight to people when they have questions. And, occasionally if you're in that neighborhood, you could say, take a look at this house that we just did. What do you guys think? But again, you got to get away. You can't do the promotional and the salesy stuff inside these groups because a lot of them will just kick you out. And honestly, most people just don't want to see it, generally speaking. So Facebook groups are free to use. Join as many local community groups as you can. Even the Crime Monitor, the Buy Here, Sell pages. I mean, just join them all. It doesn't hurt. Even if these pages get you, or these groups get you, a couple of jobs a year. If you're in 10 groups, you could procure anywhere from 10 to 20 jobs a year just from being in these groups. So that starts to add up pretty quickly. The fifth tip that I have for you can go one or two ways. So this is relatively free, or it could cost you a lot of money, and that is having a really nice website. Now, when you're first getting started and you don't have a lot of money, going to some place like Wix or Squarespace or something like that and designing your own website is usually ideal. Obviously the other alternative is hiring a company such as mine to develop a really nice professional website. But a website is important for a couple of reasons. One, you want to make sure that you have it on your business cards. Two, you're going to link it to your Google business profile. That way, when people go looking, for your services, they have some place to land to see your business. And just overall, having that website just gives you a more professional appearance. It also allows for you to charge more. And I think I'm going to make a video more detailed about websites, because there's a lot of stuff I could really talk about, but I really just wanted to focus on the importance of having a website will get you more leads. The thing you need to keep in mind is that you need to make sure that you have a way to drive traffic there. So usually when you're new in business, attaching that to your Google business profile is going to drive most of the traffic. Now, the sixth and final tip that I have, which is my favorite thing to do, is run Google Ads. And the reason I love Google Ads is because you can always see $1 go out and $4 come back to you, and I love it. Now, what I will say is, don't click off the video yet. Before you run Google Ads, make sure that you have a very nice professional website. And the reason that this is so important is because if you're going to spend money on Google and you're going to pay to send people to your website needs to do an amazing job at converting that traffic. Because if you build your own Wix website and you run Google Ads to it, you're going to have a lot of problems with people just landing on the website and then leaving and then going to the next website that looks a little bit more beautiful. So my advice would be, Google Ads works extremely well, but do not run Google Ads until you've had a professionally built website, because you're not going to have that good of luck. Now, in talking about Google Ads, it's not self-explanatory as far as how to set up, manage, and maintain a Google ad campaign. Again, I highly suggest that you do not run your own Google Ads unless you do extensive amounts of research, and even then, pressure washing Google Ads can be a little bit tricky. If you have questions about Google Ads or any of that kind of stuff, you can always drop a comment and I will try to elaborate the best that I can. But yeah, guys, those are really just the 6 tips that I have for you today. If you guys ever want to book a call with me, it's completely free to do. In the description of this video, there's a link where you can book a call. We also have our pressure washing marketing Facebook group, which is almost to 1,500 members. The link to that is also in the description. But yeah, guys, if you can implement these 6 tips, or at least most of these, I promise you're going to see a really big influx in the amount of leads that you get. As always, guys, if you have questions, drop them below, and I will see you in the next video.